Welcome to the classes of General Epidemiology. Since last several weeks, we have been discussing about the epidemiological research methods. We discussed the first and basic descriptive epidemiology, where we are trying to identify the problem. Then the problem was related to the host, environment, and agent, and ultimately we could generate some hypothesis, formulation of a hypothesis. Immediate next step was to go for the analytical epidemiology. There, the idea was to substantiate, to test the hypothesis, which can further be experimented in the experimental epidemiology, and much more evidence can be collected for the possibility of the cause. My dear friends, in this entire exercise, we are sometimes fumbling that what is the etiology? That is our target. We are trying to find out the causal relationship, cause. But ultimately, to find out the causal relationship is not that easy because there are multiple factors working. For example, if we are talking about the coronary heart disease, this may be related to obesity, this may be related to blood pressure, this may be related to cholesterol level or smoking, and so many other factors. That means this is a wave of the causes. Several causes are now in most of the chronic conditions we find. That's why what is the ultimate slogan? We try to find out the association between them, the causal or so-called causal factor or a possible factor for the effect. So cause and effect was the target of our all studies, all exercises. More the association, more the probability of it being the cause. Please understand this sentence. More the association, more the probability of the factor being a cause. But it may not be the cause per se. That's why we need to understand the word association. What is association? Association is occurrence of two variables. Occurrence of two variables more often than they would have been expected by chance. For example, Narendra Modi and Trump, if they are seen every day together, that means it is a strong association. But if they are meeting once in a while, once in 2 years, 3 years, it is not a strong association. Similarly, more than expected occurrence of the simultaneous occurrence. For example, somebody is smoker. More the smokers, more the chances of cancer. Now, this is something which is more associated. That's how occurrence has to be more than the expectation and for the two variables, two different factors. And that's the crux of the study. Please remember it that it has to be occurrence of two variables more often than would have been expected by us by chance. But again, suppose there is a strong association. There are two persons moving together every day. They may not be the good friends. It may be simply going together. It is simply an association, but it may not be the cause. These terms need to be understood because in the future, when you do research, this will help you much. That's why there is a word known as correlation. Whatever is the strong association, we need to support it by the statistical tests. And in statistics, there is a term correlation. And there is correlation coefficient, small r, which has been calculated. It is said that if two variables are associated with each other, the r is moving between -1 to +1. +1 means with the increase in factor A, the factor B will also increase simultaneously. It's a linear correlation, completely linear correlation. Suppose x and y axes are like this, the factor will move like this, absolutely in the 45-degree angle. This is +1 correlation. Correlation coefficient is +1. If it is -1, they are not absolutely, they do not have any association or negative association. And 0 means there is no association. So -1 to +1 is the correlation degree, +1 is the perfect linear association. This is statistically significant thing to be understood. First we identified the association, strong association. Then we statistically tried to make it significant. Now, however strong the statistical or otherwise association is, again, it may not be the causation. Or correlation does not mean that it is a risk. Correlation does not mean that it is a risk. Suppose smokers are smoking, it does not mean that it will lead to the lung cancer only. That can lead to several other conditions also, and so on and so forth. That's why what we are trying to find out, strong association, statistically significant association. Now, cause can lead to that particular correlation. For example, smoking can lead to the lung cancer, but it is not necessary that lung cancer can only be happening with the smoking. There may be other reasons also. So cause can lead to correlation, but correlation not necessarily means the cause. This is understood. That's why we need to understand what are the different types of such association. Yesterday I had just joked that cows are increasing in the city and the cars are also increasing in the city. It does not mean that cars are responsible for cows or vice versa. This is known as spurious, meaningless association. Example is, see, nowadays in civil hospital Ahmedabad, more deaths are reported compared to the district hospitals. And somebody may allege in the newspapers that civil hospital is bogus or tertiary care hospital is bogus, Baroda hospital is bogus. They are not working properly. This is not a good understanding. Newspapers are giving perhaps a wrong impression on the people. What is happening? You cannot compare a district hospital with a primary health center or a district hospital with a civil hospital in Ahmedabad. Primary health center will receive only primary type of the cases, cough and cold, small injuries, and like that. If they are more severe, they will go to the district hospital Palanpur. And if they are very severe and where the Palanpur hospital cannot deal with that, they will be sent to the civil hospital. So the hospitals of these types, primary type, secondary type, tertiary type, cannot be compared. That's why the mortality seen in those hospitals also cannot be compared. If you say that if you more the mortality in the civil hospital Ahmedabad, that means severe cases are coming there. That's why such a hospital is not a cause. Hospital is not the responsible for the deaths. As such, the serious cases are coming there, isn't it? That's why this is a spurious relationship, spurious association. And we are not dealing with the same type of the comparisons in this case. Second is indirect association. One is spurious, which is false. Second is there is indirect association. And of course, when there is indirect association, there will be direct association. We will be talking about that. But indirect association, for example, it was observed that at high altitude in the mountainous area, there are more cases of endemic goiter. So people thought that altitude is responsible for the goiter. Later on, it was identified that no, actually at that altitude in the soil, iodine is less, and ultimately found out that goiter is because of the iodine deficiency, not because of the high altitude. And later on, it was again reported that those areas where there was no high altitude, they also had iodine deficiency. It means that the deficiency of iodine was related to high altitude, which was not wrong. But yes, high altitude areas had the soil having less iodine. That is true. This is an indirect relationship. That's why somebody may say that high altitude is related to or associated with the iodine deficiency. True, in a sense, it is not high altitude, but the high altitude in the areas where the soil is deficient of iodine. This is known as indirect relationship. Second example is erstwhile, long back, it was found that more the high sucrose intake by the persons, high sucrose intake means the carbohydrates are taken much more. It may lead to coronary heart disease. Later on, it was found that those who are taking hot cups of tea with the sucrose, they are also tuned to more smoking. So what is actually responsible? More cups of coffee more sucrose, or smoking. Ultimately, it turned out that those who are taking hot cups of the tea more, they are not responsible because they are smokers. And ultimately, smoking came out to be one of the most important factors for coronary heart disease. So this relationship is somehow indirect relationship. But once we noticed that high sucrose was responsible, who are the people taking high sucrose? We came out that hot drinks they are taking. What was there with the hot drinks? Hot drinks was associated with the smoking. Smoking was again related to coronary heart disease. This is indirect relationship. So after quoting some examples of indirect relationship or indirect association, we go to the direct association. Indirect association, the most common in the era of the bacterial discoveries, was one-to-one cause. One-to-one cause means one-to-one causal relationship. Means factor A is present, factor B has to be present. For example, if there is L. vibrio cholerae present, that means cholera will be present, isn't it? The causal organism is there, then that's why the disease also has to be there. Meaning it that if there is any change in the cause, there will be change in the disease also. If that cause is not present, effect will not be present. If the cause is much more present, effect will be much more. This is a direct one-to-one relationship. Or if the effect occurs, the cause has to be present there. Vice versa. That's also true. But when cause is to be found, best is direct experiment. And do you remember Koch's postulate in pathology classes? That suppose you inject a disease agent in the body of the rat or the experimental animal, that disease will be produced in the body of the rat, and that is the ultimate diagnostic criteria. If you can do it by Koch's postulate, it is told that the disease agent is injected or inoculated, the animal will have the disease. This is the direct causal association in them. But when the germ theory was looked into, that was fine. But later on in the chronic conditions, we found that it is not so. For example, in TB, though there is Mycobacterium tuberculosis responsible for the tuberculosis, many times we cannot find the Mycobacterium tuberculosis in the sputum. Does it mean that the bacterium is not responsible for the TB? Or does it mean that the TB can occur without the bacterium? So there are other factors also playing some role. And the other factor was, in some of the cases, was the host susceptibility. The person should not only have the Mycobacterium tuberculosis in the body, but he himself should be weak or having less immunity. Then he will be affected with the disease of tuberculosis. So rather than a direct to direct relationship, there is a multiple relationship. And this multiple relationship drew the attention of all scientists that this is very important. Only cause is not sufficient. There has to be some other factors also. Second thing, Streptococcus hemolyticus is a bacterium, and it leads to several conditions. Like say, it can lead to erysipelas, it can lead to scarlet fever, it can lead to Streptococcus tonsillitis. So one organism can also lead to several other diseases. It is not clear that whether there is some common factor coming into picture, but so far we can say that having the cause itself present, it cannot have only one effect. There may be many effects. That's why the direct causal association was challenged. And now the second point which came out into the notice of the scientists is the multiple causation. Now in present era, mostly we are talking about the multiple causation theory. For example, factor 1, factor 2 and factor 3. All these three factors can lead to the reaction at the cellular level and can lead to the disease. We have seen in the coronary heart disease that several factors, obesity, high cholesterol, high BP, all these lead to one particular factor like say coronary heart disease. So several factors are working simultaneously. Now this may happen that whether the coronary heart disease is caused by the obesity, is it caused by the hypertension, is it caused by the serum cholesterol level high, or all three combined? That's also a possibility. The factors may be acting in combination, that which is known as synergism. So either in isolation, different factors cause the same disease, or in combination, they cause the same disease. This is more feasible. More feasible is factors getting together, acting in synergy, causing the disease. For example, smoking plus air pollution plus working in the asbestos industry, and then it may cause the carcinoma of the lung. And that has been proved by and large that all three factors lead to carcinoma of the lung. Now we shall focus after learning the association, which may be spurious or it may be indirect or it may be the direct association. Then comes the point causality. Causality means how the etiology is being created. Number one, there has to be temporal association. Temporal means time related association. Means cause should always precede the outcome. First, the etiological factor should be there, then the disease should come. It is not that the disease comes and then the etiological factor comes. So, temporal associationship means cause first, effect later. That should be there if you want to find it out. Two, that there has to be strength of association. That both of them should be present in the some strength. The association is very strong, even statistically significant. Earlier we had used the term relative risk. Relative risk should be more. If it is 1, it is not important. 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. Similarly, dose response. More the causative factors, more the disease, or longer the causative factor for the time being and longer the disease or more the disease. We saw in the smoking and carcinoma lung, more the cigarette smokers smoking, more the possibility of carcinoma lung. Longer the cigarette smoking, more the possibility of the carcinoma lung. This is known as the strength of association. It goes reverse also. Less the cigarette smoking, less the chances of carcinoma lung, less the duration of the cigarette smoking, less the chances of carcinoma lung, both way. Suggestion and enhancement, both will lead to the outcome accordingly. Third one, the specificity of the association. Because cause can lead to several effects, 1, 2, 3 effects, but then we have to see that, okay, it leads to several, like the Streptococcus hemolyticus. We found that it leads to 3 different diseases, but we have to see whether the temporal association is there, whether the strength of the association is there. If it is there, then such a specificity may be understood that, okay, it leads to 3 diseases, but for particular one disease also it may be responsible. Fourth is the consistency. The same thing should be replicated. Say smoking, anybody, anywhere, anytime, it should lead to carcinoma lung. So if it is replicated anywhere, then it has a consistency of the association. Association is consistent. It does not happen that some persons who are smoking continuously do not have the carcinoma lung, and that happens to be statistically significant. It may happen that some persons may not have, but by and large, when you talk of the group of the smokers, there has to be carcinoma lung. One factor was considered, that biological plausibility should be there. For example, if the food causes the carcinoma of the GI tract, that is understandable. But how can the food cause the carcinoma of the skin? It is not much relevant. But still, if the other associations are identified, then we need to think that yes, perhaps this may be leading to something coming out of the food, mixing in the blood and causing the carcinoma skin. That hypothesis need to be generated and tested. So even if the biological plausibility is not there, we need to think in that line. And last but not least, the coherence. Adherence means you should be fixed to that. Coherence means simultaneously having it together of the association. And we have repeatedly quoted that increased consumption of cigarettes increased the causation of the effect of the carcinoma lung. Suggestions of the cigarette, reduction in the carcinoma lung. So direct evidence or indirect evidence should be considered in the light of all other evidences, and then the spurious association will immediately be identified, and right type of association leading to the cause can be substantiated by either analytic epidemiology, where we studied the case control studies, or cohort studies. Which one is better to identify the cause effect relationship? Cohort study, but it is little expensive and time consuming. And then if chance permits and the experiment is possible, experimental epidemiology is better, Which type of experimental epidemiology is better? RCT, randomized controlled trial, as far as it is possible. And with that, we end up the entire chapter related to the research methodologies. Next time, we shall be going to a very important topic, screening. In this corona era, we are talking about the screening of the patients from those who are asymptomatic, those who are symptomatic. We are talking about that. Next time, we shall talk about screening. Till that time, bye.